In the story creation ecosystem, worlds are created by two separate, yet equally important groups. The world builders, who envision the world and its intricacies, and the storytellers, who bring their world to life. This is their podcast.
Okay. So, I've been in a bit of a conundrum with my story, because I started writing it, and the actual main character is like 8 years old now. And
That's very young.
yeah, and I'm not sure if I could just make a time skip to the like actual part of the story that I wanted to write, or if I should continue the story with the characters that have been the main focus, like in the first 3 chapters now, and then just go from there. But it would basically mean for me to like find a completely new story for his like for the earlier years. Hmm. So I guess the question is, how far can you skip into the future?
Generally speaking, I wouldn't say that there's actually a rule like for how far you can skip. It's
Just
usually more like
just as long as there's something recognizable in that future, as in
yeah.
something that you recognize from before the time jump.
Okay.
And generally speaking, if you can do it, like you might also want to have some like you might also want to have it so like it's not just something recognizable, for example, but like let's say let's say you can have, for example, oh fuck, oh no shit, so like let's say you have a character doing something. A good time skip is, for example, if they're doing the same thing again. Like so, basically, like instead of just being a time skip, it's a time skip where you also have like something genuinely recognizable.
Hmm.
Like literally, like they're doing this action, now you link to another thing where they're doing the exact same action. Like something that genuinely makes people go, "Oh, there's a like natural connection here. It's not just a time skip for convenience."
Hmm.
Otherwise, why are you doing it as a time skip and not just as flashbacks?
Alternatively, in a very similar manner to that, you can have one person doing one thing and then another person doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. The thing is, I'm not sure. So here's the thing, I was thinking about doing flashbacks, but then I decided to just like start the story with him being younger, so the audience would have more of a connection when he gets into the academy, basically. Because I don't know where I would put his past there, basically. Like where I would put the flashbacks if the story would start with him being in the academy.
I mean, it could start with some flashbacks and then some linking to that if you want. That also works.
And I think I don't like flashbacks all that much. For the same reason I don't like prologues, really.
Well,
Yeah,
you could have them just discussing what happened.
Yeah, but that would kind of feel like a lore dump then, wouldn't it?
Well, as in not all at once, but just bit by bit throughout the story. Just mentioning like, oh yeah, while I was at the academy, I remember I did that.
I'm just really concerned when it comes to the pacing of the story.
yeah, pacing is something to be concerned about.
Maybe I also just don't know enough of the story. Because like I have these events that I have planned, but I'm not sure yet how I get from A to B, basically, in a consistent manner.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the bigger problem for me.
It's also entirely reasonable to have a character who is already developed as your main character. Like you don't have to show them getting their experience. You can say this character is already experienced, this is why.
Yeah, and then you can go back to some of these experiences before they become relevant, and that's actually like a very common tactic too.
Yeah, the problem is that the story, as far as I have it structured so far, is basically really starts with him being in the academy, and then they go on the first mission, basically just as a, I guess you could say filler, but also to kind of illustrate what they would do normally. And then, like, the capital city gets attacked, and from there on out, the real story basically starts. So he wouldn't have that much training, but he's kind of like in this intersection where he has some training, but he doesn't have enough training to like compete with people who are really experienced.
Well, I present to you Kingsman. You know the movie Kingsman?
Oh yeah,
Kingsman.
yeah. This
Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Secret Service, yeah.
Yeah. So that has a similar plot progression. It starts with it starts with the father of the main character on a mission and then dying, and then has the main character as a child, and then a time skip to when he gets into the Kingsman training. Time skips kind of glosses over the Kingsman training, and then time skips again to when the actual bad things are happening.
True. Yeah, there are a lot of time skips now that you pointed out. Well, maybe not a lot, but there are some.
There are more than usual. More than a usual story.
True. Yeah, I guess time skips won't be too bad then.
Yeah. Time skips are not a bad thing, but again, like you want them to be connected, unless you want it to feel like it's just a bunch of unconnected stories. But really, that's about the only limitation you have with time skips.
The question.
I mean, we have a time skip every time. You don't describe them at night.
Yeah, true.
Usually.
True. So, where should I put the time skip then? Between chapters or within a chapter?
Within a chapter, you usually want them connected, and between chapters, you want usually at least some hook.
Oh, okay, so like a cliffhanger, basically, or...
Not necessarily even a cliffhanger, as much as some sort of hook that makes it clear that there was a skip there. That this isn't just some random story that you're not supposed to understand yet, but it's literally like, we just skipped. Either at the start of the chapter where the skip happens, or near the end of it is like some sort of line of like, oh, that was all a long time ago, or something like that.
Now that I think back at it, I already have a time skip between chapter 1 and 2. Then I have 2 and 3, and then I would probably make the next one within chapter 4, after I, like...
There are always time skips, after all. Like, you're not gonna have a game without any time... Like, a story without any time skips.
Well, yeah, because that would be boring. Like, you have to skip time for people to have meals and go to the toilet and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are only a few stories ever that have managed to work with, like, little to no time skips. And
aside
those
from
are
going to the toilet, they usually don't tell you about them going to the toilet.
Or they are so high detail that it works.
Well, usually if they go to the toilet, they get ambushed, like, by a spy or something like that, depending on the story. So something happens that is relevant to the story, which entails them going to the toilet. So
yeah,
like in the movie Scream 2, I think the first scene takes place within a movie theater, and the first victim of the story is going to the restroom where he gets murdered. And this is how. Wait, hold on, never mind. All I know is that is that in horror movies people can get ambushed in toilets quite a lot.
Yeah. And those are horror movies in general are probably one of the genres where you will see a lot less time skips. Especially very small and very subtle because they want to.
Well,
Well,
yeah, it
basically-
kind of cuts the suspense when you go 1 year later. Well, there's no suspense anymore, is there?
Even if you cut 1 hour later, that's a full hour that you didn't use the fact that they're about to be murdered as a
Yeah.
plot point.
Okay, this kind of
Well, we said we would
makes
have
sense.
something going on in the background, so I guess I will open up Minecraft and try to beat the Ender Dragon with no weapons.
with your
I mean,
bare
I
hands.
can just stream the mod pack I'm playing. Because, yeah, I finished Antichamber again now. So now I'm back to the mod pack because the authentication servers for Minecraft were down earlier, and now I'm back up.
Well, I now have Minecraft open.
Wait a sec. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought we're already streaming it.
Okay. I shall.
I probably stream this game I'm playing right now. Right now, I'm in the middle of fighting an excavator.
Okay. If you want to do that.
Alright, let me stream
Because
that.
it'll
Then.
either be yours or I can do mine. Either one.
I mean, I am in the middle of very important. I'm in the middle of the story right now, but I don't think you guys particularly care about spoilers for this game.
What's the game called?
Yakuza 7,
Oh,
like a dragon.
I've heard about the series, but yeah, there's so many games I'm probably not gonna get around to.
Yeah, there's Yakuza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, and then there's like a samurai spinoff they have. I don't know how many games they have. Then there's another game called Dead Souls. It's a zombie game that didn't really go anywhere. There's Yakuza 0. And then there's the 2 remakes of Yakuza 1 and 2. And then here's this game.
I guess everything I saw of that game though is kind of hilarious. Like for example, you're fighting an excavator right now, so.
Yeah.
A level 17 excavator.
Yeah, level 17 excavator. And this is how the game actually made a name for itself in the West. Because of... Oh, come on. Because in the game, there's a very huge gap, and there's a huge gap of tone between the main story, which is pretty serious. And it's like it's very much like what you expect from like a Yakuza crime drama. And then you have these really stupid like side missions that are like really fun to do.
This looks like a very weird Persona parody. This fight you're fighting right now.
I was reminded of Final Fantasy, but I mean I haven't played that many Final Fantasy games, so.
Specifically, like the UI looks really similar to Persona.
I can see that.
What are all of these people even doing?
Right now, I'm trying to get past the excavator so I can
No,
go up
then
to the.
They're ridiculous passive movements.
Yeah, the dancing.
Oh yeah, That's because I put like okay. So how do I describe this? So basically, there's several jobs each character can take, and those are basically like. I think the best way I could describe it is if you take a character and you change them from a mage to a warrior type, and then vice versa for like another character. So each job has like several skills that they can do. The person who's dancing, I put like the breaker job on them, which is very offensive focused, and it involves a lot of dancing. So I can't attack that dude with that skill. Oh, finally, you got him out.
Now he is level 17 Yan.
Yes.
And he is being champagne.
Yeah, he just got champagne. Oh. Ow. Okay, so right now, there's actually two dubs you can play in this game. There's the Japanese dub, and then there's the English dub, which I'm playing right now. The funny thing about the English dub is that the main characters and like all the important characters are voiced in English in the cutscenes. But whenever you're in a battle, the enemies are still voiced in Japanese.
Okay.
This is what we call budget.
Yes.
Oh, now I know what it also reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of Saints Row, I think it's called. Someone knows that game series?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any reason why?
I don't know. Probably just like how the characters move. And
This animation.
I defeated Excavator. Alright, I beat that enemy. Oh no, why is this level 4?
You got a wooden flipper.
Yes. From
This
a
is
safe.
this is amazing.
And a makeup pouch. A wooden flipper
Yes.
and a makeup pouch.
Yes. Very useful things to keep in the safe.
Exactly.
Well,
Yes, I keep my wooden flippers in a safe.
a safe that has a master key, which I've been using this entire time.
I've got one more question about my story. Well, I guess not technically my story, but general enough for it to be useful for anyone, I think. And I was thinking about having like my main character listen to a history lesson or something like that, just to get some world building out there.
Yeah. A fairly common flow.
Yeah, but wouldn't that feel too much like a lore dump?
It would feel a bit like a lore dump, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on how it's done. It can be done in like it will always feel like a lore dump, but a lore dump as a lore dump is not the problem, as much as lore dumps that are just like they'll just dump lore on you. Like
Yeah. It shouldn't just be the dialogue of the teacher just for 3 pages straight. There should be interaction between characters. There should be character building within the
and
lore
more
dump.
than that, you can also tell like this history, but then also use that so that like suddenly, sure, like you're dumping a bunch of lore, but then the characters also like the way they interact also shows you more than just like the baseline of the lore, but also how people think about these events.
Okay, so
Yeah.
lore dump in and of itself isn't the problem as long as it's done.
Yeah,
Interesting.
the lore dump is not
Proper.
the problem. The problem is like the way you tell the story.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Avengers Infinity War. Thanos stands in the middle of the film. Thanos just stops and has a massive monologue to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a villain monologue because it's done well.
True. Yeah, that scene was really good, actually. But also, it wasn't very long.
Yeah.
Well, it was a couple of minutes.
Isn't it about
I think it,
when he talks
I
about
think it
his
got
home
enough
planet?
to-
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a few minutes. It's 3 or 4 minutes just of him just monologuing.
Well, it also had a relevance to the story, I guess, kind of illustrating his motivation, so... okay. Guess I'll have to keep that in mind to make it relevant to the story.
Like, a good example, I think, of just like low dumps done well is Ruby. It's like Ruby was very weird. Technically, it's still going. I stopped following it a few years ago. It went downhill at some point, but the first few seasons were really good
Let's
in
be
terms of
honest
world building.
here. Let's be honest here, Gerb. The lore dumping and the story wasn't good in the first volumes either. It just had really stellar fight scenes.
Yeah, and I don't know, Crow's character was amazing, and a few others. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was more than enough to keep me hooked.
Well,
and
it had
the
potential.
thing is, like,
that's the most infuriating thing about it. It had so much potential.
And if we followed the original story, we probably would have also gotten all that potential used. Yeah. Which is frustrating, but that's a story for another time. The point is, I did think like that they had like a certain low dump. Like they had this history class, which was literally just low dump class, but it wasn't done in such a bad way because the stories were sure like they would dump a lot of lore on you there, but also all that lore was useful for some things, and something like in some ways, that lore was like they dumped it in a way that first of all didn't feel too overwhelming, but also you genuinely like you learned a lot of things about the world, about how people feel about these things, about the characters. It was like, sure, it was a history class, but people were talking throughout the class even when they're not supposed to, and you get more than just the lore dump that a history class would usually supply. So that was one of the points that I actually like. I really liked about this series itself.
You know what's one of the main inspirations for my story is? Ruby.
Oh.
Yeah. I find it so funny that you brought it up. Because I really think it has so much potential. And I just got angry about it and just, you know what? I'm gonna think about my own story now.
Yeah. There's a lot of things about Ruby who are just so poorly handled.
In both the
actor too is just a mess.
In both the Harry Potter series and the Percy Jackson series, there are just shameless lore dumps.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the series.
Percy Jackson slightly less so than Harry Potter at times, but yeah, we were both fairly guilty of that. But it still wasn't that bad because again, they did it in a legitimate way.
Yeah, it was just like, unironic, shameless lore dumping.
Yeah, it's another thing too. Like, even if you're doing lore dumping, remember that no matter what you're doing, you have to fully commit to it. You don't feel shame if you do. Like, if you decided that lore dumps are the way to go, you don't feel shame about it. You do it full on.
I mean, I guess like you need it to a certain extent just to give the reader the context of why everything is happening and how it is happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why a lot of books do go with an audience surrogate main character. because in both Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, the main character is the audience surrogate.
True.
Like, there was absolutely no reason to keep Percy in the dark arc in the Percy Jackson series of the Great Prophecy or of being able to manipulate the mist or anything like that. But it helped to keep the audience in the dark, so it helped to that the audience would find out at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I started the series, my story with my main character being like pretty young, so that he could like ask questions that the audience might have, and he can get told things that the audience would need to know. Yeah, I guess I can. Kind of gets back to whether I want to time skip and how far I want to time skip into the future. Because by the time he gets into the academy, he would like basically have the hang of everything and know like most things.
One thing I would say though is don't keep repeating the same lore dumps.
Oh yeah, that's
So there's a series that, if this is ever put on YouTube, I will get attacked for saying this. But a series that does this far too often, repeating the same lore dumps, is the Shadowhunters series.
Is that like a well-known series or?
In the English-speaking world, yeah.
Okay, well, like maybe I'm gonna get attacked for not knowing it then.
Yeah, count me in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a set of basically it's got a whole set of series. The Shadowhunters series. It's got the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, something or other, whatever. At the start of each of those trilogies, basically, they have the same lore dumps every single time. Although that is kind of to be expected, given that each of the trilogies basically has exactly the same plot as well.
Do they all play around the same time, or?
No, they play in different times. The first one happens in Victorian England, and the most recent one happens in modern day. So.
Oh, so they're basically like independent from each other.
Yes and no. They kind of there are family lines within Shadowhunters, so they're all related to each other.
Is Gerb saying anything, or am I not? Am I the only one not hearing him? Because I see him light up in Discord.
Yeah, I'm seeing him light up, but I'm not hearing anything either.
Oh, no, I'm not speaking. It's just like I have a tiny bit of echo for my side. So whenever somebody speaks, like with enough volume, it will light my mic up.
Oh, okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Shadowhunters series, it's not the greatest series in the world. Please do not crucify me. If this ever ends up going online. That being because the same plot pretty much repeats in each trilogy, each first book, every single thing. Yeah, they throw a character into a situation that they know nothing about so that they can treat them as an audience surrogate. They go through a whole bunch of mystery solving where they go down a whole lot of useless avenues where they find out literally nothing. Then they get betrayed by someone who they trusted, who is always very obviously going to betray them because they have so many betrayal flags on them. And then all the characters go, "Oh my god, how did you betray me?" And then everyone who's reading it is just like, "How did you not expect them to betray you?" And then you'll get into the second book of the series, and the second book will usually do nothing. Nothing will happen in that one. And then you go to the third one, there'll be another betrayal somewhere in there. The Clave, which is their government in their world, will pretty much turn against them, and they'll go, "Oh, I must go against the Clave." And so they do that. They go and solve the problem themselves, and then the Clave goes, "Oh my god, you're amazing," and then welcomes them back. And that happens in each of the trilogies. You'd think that their system of government, that their Clave would have figured out at some point that, oh, these people who keep saying ideas that are different to tradition keep being right. Maybe we should actually listen to them once in a while. But no, because
It is our tradition to be wrong.
Yes. Manufactured tension.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's this thing where people think that, like, oh, if they have like this old system of government, then they're obviously never going to change. And it's like, no. At some point, like, at some point, they will stop that because it is by far not the most efficient way of governance, and like, at some point they'll realize maybe we should stop doing this stupid thing.
Wouldn't you
Yeah,
think
but
the
in
same
every
about the
single
US system, though?
every single one of the Shadowhunters series, each of the trilogies, the thing that needs to be done only ever gets done by the people going against the government. And it's just, why?
I don't.
Yeah.
Can we not just have someone working with the authority at some point?
Well, I guess it's kind of a philosophy. What's the word? I need the word. One sec. Oh,
philosophical.
Philosophical. Why can't I pronounce that correct? Anyway, this kind of argument whether government can do stuff or it can't, I guess.
Well, the thing is, their government is entirely constituted of soldiers. Because literally every Shadowhunter in the world is a soldier in that series.
Well,
so basically
someone
it's just
needs
a
to give
giant
them the
military.
orders then.
Yeah. They do have, that's why they have a system of government, to give orders. But every single time they go, no, we shall do nothing. You realize your entire people is a military. Your entire civilization is a military. Just do something. And they go, we shall do nothing. We shall continue just stabbing wild demons and not doing anything about the large groups of demons that are actually threatening the world. Because we do not believe that they are happening. And then someone goes, oh, I'll do it anyway. And then the government goes, no, how dare you? And then they do it. And then the government goes, oh my God, you did it. I'm so happy. Come back and be our heroes.
Maybe that's like the morale of the story. That if you want to get something done, you need to do it yourself and not rely on others to do it.
Yeah, but then why tell the same story again and again and again?
Yeah.
Like, you can do it once, that's fine. Do it twice, like, do it once, shame on you, do it twice, shame on me, do it 3 times, what the hell?
I mean, as long as people enjoy reading a story or playing a game, like, how many football games do we have?
No, aiming for mediocrity is always a bad idea, no.
The thing is, it gets quite stale after a while when you're just reading literally the same story over and over and over.
Yeah, but with a different skin.
Yeah, but aiming for mediocrity is not what we're supposed to be aiming for. We're supposed to be aiming for something above that.
Like, take Star Wars, for example. Star Wars is a very good example of telling the same story. Because they told the same story in the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy.
The sequel,
the same overarching story that basically, what I'm boiling it down to, minimalist rebellion versus giant evil empire.
True. Yeah.
Same story. Yeah. But in the prequels,
one of them was at least
that's why the prequels are better.
Yeah, the prequels did something different. The prequels did the grand empirical force, well, the grand imperial force fighting against a terrorist group.
I mean, it wasn't the Imperium in the prequels yet when it started, so.
Well, yeah, it was a democracy, yeah. But it was
was it a democracy or a republic? I think it was a republic.
Republics are democracies. Well, not always, but they can be. I mean, America is a republic.
Yeah. There's
But
a
it was
difference
a
between-
democracy. I mean, the line "I love democracy" wouldn't be in there if it wasn't a democracy.
True. Well, I guess it's a republic in the sense that I mean it can be both. It's both.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Republic just means it's independent.
I think
Basically.
it even says in the prequels the Republic
Oh
and
my
the
goodness, I can
Separatists.
finally buy something from here. Sorry.
And what was the point again?
The point is not telling the same story over and over. This came
Like-
from don't say the same world building multiple times in a row.
True.
Like, at the end of the day, like, I think like a lot of people give the prequels a lot of shit, and justifiably so.
Well, their
But,
dialogue
like-
is awful.
Yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, in the prequels, they at the very least did try something different,
Yeah. they
and
told
well,
a
they got
new
a lot of
story.
flack for it. But if you look at it, like most of the flack is more about how it would like how well they did it, like how well like it's more about production quality basically than about actual quality because the base story itself was
Yeah, the
far
plot is good. The plot
yeah,
of the
it was
prequels
far
is
better
good.
than doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
And that's why no matter how much people hated the prequels, nobody ever called for canceling them. I'm like, or at least not in this like, not this loudly. And
Nobody
like,
went, please just make them not canon.
Yeah.
yeah, unlike with the sequels, which is just like, it was an overwhelming call to do that, and I'm like, a few people probably lost their jobs after this. Wouldn't surprise me.
And then
I-
you had the Star Wars Holiday Special that George Lucas just pretends doesn't exist. Not the recent Lego one. There is a recent
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
No, the OG Christmas special.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
What do you like there?
I think I've heard. I'm not sure if I've seen it. I think I only heard about
I
it.
watched the first 5 minutes.
Wait, there's a recent Star Wars Holiday Special?
Yes, it's Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. It involves
Wait, they made another one.
it involves time travel.
Of course it does. A
course
known
it
tradition
does.
of Christmas. It's a known a Christmas tradition.
And there are 3 Obi-Wans saying hello there to each other simultaneously.
Great.
Well, my only
That is
question is
beautiful.
why they made another one when the original one didn't do so good.
Because it was
Because
Lego.
you can't go worse.
Hmm.
Also because it was Lego.
Yeah, and Lego like don't actually need to learn from the mistakes of other genres. So yeah.
Because
So
when you make a Lego Star Wars movie, you can make a parody.
Gerb, you said we shouldn't aim for mediocrity, right?
Yeah.
So we should aim for slightly above average?
At the very least.
Okay.
Like if you're aiming for mediocrity, what are you doing? There's already other mediocre stuff out there. You need to aim a bit higher than that.
I mean, you could also aim a bit lower and just go so low that it's getting good again. I mean, some should do that.
You will never be able to do that intentionally.
Slightly lower than mediocrity is what you would call Pulp Fiction.
Wait, what? What is this?
I guess, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. What did I want to say? Yeah, I think one of the best examples for that is Iron Sky. The movie about
I have-
where the Nazis fled to the
To the moon.
dark side of
Yeah,
the
well,
moon.
they fled to the moon, like the dark side of the moon, and then they
Yeah.
built a base, and now they're invading Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So
Too many of those exist, and yet each of them is distinct.
I think that's like an example of something that's like sounds terrible, but it gets funny and good again.
Yeah,
And I would argue that they tried to make that intention. Did
I
they
mean,
try to
you
make it
also
with
get
bad
stuff like The
intention?
Room, which was never meant to be bad, but it was so bad that it became like immortal, basically.
Yeah, it was immortalized in history.
Yeah, it became
As
a cult
one
classic.
shitty movie, though it's too funny to be shitty.
But then you've got things like Cats that is so incredibly
just
bad
bad.
that it's just bad.
It went from
Yeah,
bad
because
to shot past the good and got back to bad again.
it's just like because it's one of those things about like the only way you can even try to like aim for being bad and manage to make it bad enough that it's funny is if you know very well what you're doing and you know that like we're aiming to be bad, so we're not going to take ourselves seriously. Or if we're going to take ourselves seriously, at the very least, we're going to have something that is extremely not serious. Like in a way, I don't think that the room when they were producing it, they thought this is going to be a masterpiece. They probably knew, like at some level, that this is going to become an absolute joke,
Oh,
and I
hi,
don't
Yeah.
think
Mark.
they cared. I frankly don't think they cared. I think they just went, so be it.
Oh, hi, Mark. I did not hit her. I did not.
I did not hit her. I did not.
Exactly.
I should probably watch that at some point. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, aside from
I've
that
watched
one
enough.
meme.
I've watched
My
so
experience,
many
I
different
really
parts
had.
of it. I've
My
never
experience I
watched.
really had. Oh, sorry.
Hmm?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, so like, it's just I've watched so many different parts of it, like so many different disconnected parts, that like I've by now probably seen the entire movie more than once with this, but never like in one sitting.
There's a safe here.
So how did we get to this point again?
A professional whisk.
Yes.
We were talking at some
Yes, there's
point
a
about
step job
like
in this game.
we were talking at some point about like so bad that it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got from Star Wars to this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, actually, we got from Don't Aim for Mediocrity. Don't
Yeah.
Aim for Mediocrity, yeah.
Well, how does it
Like-
come that there's so much mediocrity then? Is it just people trying to go above it, or is it just that
Well,
Either
mediocrity
people trying
gets
to
better?
go above it and failing, or people just saying I'll do whatever works.
well, there's
I
so
mean-
much mediocrity because once you get a whole lot of exceptionally good things, then the originally good things become mediocre because they are now the average.
Yeah.
And not just that, you also have like as where an industry will pop up, it like you will have a lot of mediocrity in that industry. It doesn't matter the field. Any field that has an industry, you will get a lot of mediocrity in that field from now on, and then some exceptionalism either as like inside the industry, as like you have this one group that is just like fuck mediocrity, or outsiders. And that's gonna happen always. I mean, think how much mediocrity there was even like throughout history. Think how much mediocrity there was in any field you choose, from like crafts, for like or fields that were like that had guilds in them, or like any sort of art. You would have a lot of mediocrity, and then you would have occasionally the really good, like the really good people.
Well, also, there's people who become complacent with mediocrity. Well, building on your points, industries become complacent with mediocrity. Like, for example, now this is something I'm going to get attacked for. John Steinbeck of Mice and Men is crap. Is absolute crap. But it is held up as a pillar of literary brilliance and is taught in English classes around the world. But it sucks.
What's so bad
Like
about it?
Well, for one thing, the foreshadowing is way too obvious. It's within the first 2 pages, you know exactly how the whole story is going to pan out, because it starts off with basically a conversation that they might as well be holding up a neon sign saying foreshadowing, foreshadowing, come and get your foreshadowing. And
I
then
imagine that in a very specific voice. Like,
yeah.
there's a very specific voice that comes to mind. I'll send it later. It's amazing.
But pretty much the moment you've read those first few pages, if you are familiar with literature, you know exactly what's going to happen, exactly how it will turn out, and also Of Mice and Men is just generally depressing. It's a very depressing story. Basically, the entire story just tells you life sucks and then you die.
Oh, I do know that. I've never seen the movie of it, and I haven't read the novel, but
It's a novella. It's only about like 20,000 words. It's
Yeah.
quite short.
I don't know. I kind of like the premise behind it.
Okay, what would you say? What would you say is the premise?
Well, you can do awful things while still being innocent, basically, in mind. Like, you don't need to have bad intentions to screw up.
Well, it could also be interpreted as anyone who's different is evil and therefore should die. Is also another interpretation.
I mean, probably, I guess. But I think, okay, I haven't, as I said, I haven't read the novella, so I can't really say anything about the execution, but I think the premise is decent enough to be discussed at least, and I mean, it's not too long, so...
Yeah, but the fact that it's held up as a pillar of literary brilliance is something that I don't like. Because this is what I'm saying about just becoming complacent with mediocrity. Because as well as that, there is one woman in the story. That one woman in the story is presented as an evil temptress and an idiot. And that would be fine. That would be fine if it was the only time that happened in Steinbeck. But all of Steinbeck's novels, all of his female characters are either evil temptresses or idiots.
Or both.
Or both. And you just kind of go, if you can't write female characters, just don't.
I mean,
if you're not going to write them as complex human characters, just don't write them.
So they're more of like plot devices, really.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue all of these characters in that novella are plot devices then.
Well, yeah, all of the characters are plot devices with the exclusion of the two leads in that particular novella.
I mean, every character is a plot device by definition. It's just like, do you treat them as that when you're writing them or not? Like, it is important to recognize that your characters are plot devices, but it's also important to do more than just treat them as such.
Yeah, you should treat them as people.
The kind of weird thing for me is I've heard so much about this story that if I read it, I'm not sure if I can be unbiased in, like, rating its execution, like how it was written.
Yeah.
Because I already know the story. Like, I am already spoiled. Like, even if I would watch the movie, I would still basically know what's gonna happen, so... Can't really tell if it was just bad foreshadowing, or...
Yeah.
Or if you just already knew it.
Well, when I read it, I was in primary school when I first read it, so...
Okay, so you didn't
I think
know
I was not spoiled.
Okay.
I think the first time I read it was in freshman high school. So yeah, I wasn't spoiled either. I think it was the first time I read Steinbeck's work, actually. Oh, wait a minute, was it in junior high? I don't remember.
Although I would have to say I was probably not in the right age range for it, because it is not a good thing for a small child to read.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
with
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to show a kid friggin' Of Mice and Men.
But I still hold that I find that it is mediocre at best, and I think it is actually lower than mediocre, below mediocre. I do not consider Of Mice and Men to be good by any stretch.
Well, I would
And it's an
disagree on the
acceptable
merit of
opinion,
its premise, but as I said, can't say for anything else.
And this is coming from a person who never had to study it for school.
You mean me? Or...
Me. I never had to study it for school. I just
Oh,
read it because I
okay.
wanted to read it.
I mean, what do you think about 1984 then? I would assume that you've read it, or...
I have read 1984, yeah.
Yeah.
I consider it quite good. In some places, it doesn't really go anywhere. Kind of starts and ends the same way.
Well, I guess you could argue that's the point of it.
Yeah, that is the point of it. That's very much the point of it. But it's
Yeah.
a well-written story. Everything's nicely fleshed out. All of the characters are characters. They're actually people.
True. Yeah, true. They don't feel like plot devices as much as what I've heard about of Mice and Men. I guess it's also a bit longer, 1984.
It's significantly longer, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's actually a novel, not a novella. So, 1984. Where is it? Really? This is... They don't give me a thing. It's...
1984 is a book you can't read anymore.
No, I'm looking for a word count.
Oh.
But it says, at a speed of 300 words per minute, it would take 3 hours and 56 minutes to read. That's the first thing that comes up. I can just put it into a calculator, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's just
What,
really
3
dumb.
hours and 55 minutes?
3 hours and 56 minutes.
56,
So
okay.
300 times 180 plus 56. So that is 70,800 words.
Yeah.
So about 71,000.
Wouldn't you just call that a book?
Yeah, it is. It's a book. It's a novel.
Oh, okay, so...
Of Mice and Men is 30,000 words.
Well, I guess if Of Mice and Men would be longer, maybe the story would have more time.
Yeah. Maybe he could have
flesh
actually
it out.
fleshed out the characters.
Yeah. So, I guess in 30,000 words, you basically just get to develop the premise. Like, if you would condense 1984 to like 30,000 words,
that would be less than half its length.
Yeah. So
you just wouldn't have the time.
Yeah. So I don't know why I'm trying to defend Of Mice and Men here, but I can't believe it's that insignificant or that mediocre. Although,
well, my
maybe
issue
I get
is
proven wrong once I read it.
My biggest issue is with the fact that it's held up as this great, wonderful thing when there are so many things better.
Well, I wouldn't argue that it's wonderful, just because I haven't read it either, but I would say it's significant in what it tried to portray.
Well, I think Steinbeck actually phrased it as it was an inversion of the American dream.
An inversion of the American dream.
So as in, basically, he took the American dream, put that into the main characters' heads as their motivations, and basically said the American dream is a lie, basically.
So instead of everyone can make it, everyone can fail.
Yeah. Well, it was more like not everyone can make it, and a lot of people will fail, and a lot of people will not achieve this dream.
Are there any works that, like, glorify the American dream? Because I'm more familiar with the opposite when it comes to literature. For example, I think Death of a Salesman. Also, basically, yeah.
Just go watch a couple episodes of Leave It to Beaver.
Of what?
Leave It to Beaver. Old TV show.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know that one.
Great Gatsby turns it on its head as well.
Yeah, Great Gatsby is a great novel.
Yeah, it is. It's a very short one as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is kind of a small little guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one's like the rags to riches American dream story.
Yeah, but then it flips it on its head with the main character dying at the end.
Spoilers, I'm just kidding. I read some of these in high school and I don't remember the ending to most of them.
No.
Do you remember the
But
ending?
yeah,
What is it?
it's weird.
Lord of the Flies. Good
Surprisingly, I don't think I've actually read Lord of the Flies.
one.
Dumb. Me neither.
I had
Great.
to. I didn't, but I had to.
Wait,
You
you didn't, but you had
you-
to. Okay.
Yeah.
As you do with. like,
Although one thing I
scripted
had to read for
books.
school was a book called Dinosaur Nights. That was actually in high school. A book called Dinosaur Nights. It was about a scientist making a dinosaur time travel, and they accidentally time traveled the dinosaur into the Middle Ages.
What? Okay.
Awesome.
That's an interesting premise.
There's a book series called like Dinosaur Lords. Let me see if I can find something. Yeah, by Victor. I had planned on reading it.
Cordain, your mic sound is very grainy. It's grainier than Hans was at the beginning.
This is my work mic. It's terrible.
Ah, okay.
Oh, Cordain. When
Howdy.
when do you schedule the short story session?
I'll have to schedule for a Saturday morning sometime.
That's fine with me.
Saturday morning. When's that? That's like
Saturday night for you.
probably a Sunday morning, realistically. Probably like Sunday midnight or something like that.
Sunday morning at midnight.
Yeah, probably something around there.
Yeah, I
Because
can't think.
I think I'm 14 hours ahead also.
Shouldn't it? Wait, you said Saturday night or morning
I'm saying Saturday morning for me.
for you?
Saturday morning, 12 GMT.
12 GMT.
Okay, so it's
Oh wait, 12
it's
GMT.
8:40. It's 8:45 for you at the moment, right?
Yeah, that's right.
8:45 a.m. Yeah. So it's 10:45 p.m. for me.
Oh,
Oh, hey,
yeah, it's
that's
like
just-
6:45 a.m. for me right now.
That's mid-evening for you. If I were to do it at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I should probably do it at 6 a.m. because it's Saturday and I have a family that wakes up at 8. So
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
but the previous question you had about a novel that glorifies the American dream, I can't think of a single one. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm
Yeah,
an
neither can
American. Why? What?
Yeah, neither can I though. All of them seem to build up the American dream and then crush it
Yeah.
violently.
Yeah. Although you have a sort of like Mice and Men, it's not like that happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe
Most people, most
rather than
people,
crush it. Go ahead.
most people do not end up walking around with their weird cousin slash half brother slash whatever he was, and end up shooting them in a direct literary parallel to a dog.
Yes, putting him down like a dog. Poor fellow. He didn't deserve it, but he did. But well, here's the deal: it's like I feel like instead of crushing, it's like they're finding like exceptions to the American dream. Like I remember, getting outside of novels, just going on my mission trip and meeting people in some of these zones. Because part of the things we would do is we would go look after the poor, and being there with them, I realized that for many of these people, the American dream is not realistic. It could never happen. For some of them, they could had they made different choices, but for a whole different set of them, it wasn't likely to be possible. It wasn't likely that they would be able to find that American dream as we know it.
I guess it's kind of the typical, what I would call the snobbery rule, that a lot of people think true fiction or true literature is angsty.
Oh, that one.
What do you mean by angsty?
Let me find a dictionary definition of angst.
I mean,
Go to your nearest high
what
school and talk to the
angst
emo
means.
kids.
Like,
A feeling of deep anxiety or dread, typically an unfocused one, about the human condition or the state of the world in general.
So nihilists.
Yeah.
And emos.
But yeah,
you guys have that term?
Yeah, we have the term emos. I don't know if they do.
I'm pretty sure emo is just short for emotional.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. A lot of very snobbish people kind of think that all good literature must be angsty, must be nihilistic. You just kind of go, but no, I like happy endings. Happy endings are good.
Well, to be fair, maybe if there's like a book or a novel that just portrays the American dream, what kind of tension would there be? Okay, I guess at the start of it there would be. Oh, wait, actually, I think I know of a story at the very least, that portrays it. I think it was about a salesman who was selling medical equipment or stuff like that. There was a movie with Will
Oh, you're
Smith
talking
in
about
it.
the one with Will Smith and his son, Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were selling bone scanners, and his people didn't like him because it was an interracial marriage, and his wife died of something, and couldn't sell bone scanners because X-rays are more popular, and yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. So I guess we found one at least.
Found one.
You know, if you were to write a story like this, one thing I can think of is that instead of to add tension, you could make it so that there's someone trying to achieve the dream, like they do in that movie, where, you know, say they're slowly moving up the ranks in their job, you know, they have the money to buy their house, white picket fence, and then something happens that makes that fall through. You know what I mean? That could be one of the problems that they face as they're trying to achieve this dream, or it could be that they're trying to achieve the dream, but they're doing a job they absolutely hate.
I have a feeling that we might not be able to think of book novels or films that deal with the American dream because a lot of them might be romances, and I don't think most of us have read many romances.
I prefer not to.
You can be sure, but I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either. But why would they be romances?
Well, just because it's a very easy way to have tension to write a romance. That's one thing. And the second thing is romance is the most popular genre in the world.
Yep, it sells more than anything else. And the dude is always rich, so.
Yeah. I mean, a typical one, yeah.
He's rich and has huge biceps. I mean, and does things that would get most people arrested.
Yeah. A lot of stalking.
A lot of stalking and a lot of very questionable consent.
Yeah.
Hey, that's just romantic when they do it.
Sorry.
I mean, it's fiction. It's fiction for a reason.
Yeah. If you're rich, it's romantic.
Right. If you have the handsome wealthy guy outside your window, that's one thing. If you have the chubby ugly guy that works at McDonald's out your window, that's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives a very different vibe.
Yeah, but I think to make a case here, even like in our world, if some rich good-looking fella stands outside of the window of some random girl who knows nothing about him, I don't think it would fare too well for him.
No.
No.
No, but he would be able to pay his own bail.
Well, yeah, but still, like I don't
I know.
expect women to
a
react
joke.
like, oh yeah, of course.
Oh, the rich guy, please come get a ladder, come in my window.
Yeah. At
Yeah,
least most women would probably be pretty
It's
weirded
like you're
out and
standing outside
suspicious.
of just standing outside of my window. Please state your net worth. If your net worth is above X amount, then you may stay. Otherwise, I'm calling the police.
Exactly. So
That's actually really funny. Please state your net worth. It's like he's got like it's like, oh, you could do a world where like that's like strictly how people date, and so like the men walk around with name tags, and it has underneath their net worth, and oh my goodness, have you guys seen the TV show The Orville? It's like
I've heard of it.
It's like a Star Trek satire. It's really funny. It's by Seth MacFarlane, and there's an episode where the justice of the world is all done via social media likes. So it's like if you do something awful and you get too many dislikes, you go to jail. And and if you go to jail, you have a chance to redeem yourself, and you have to go on an apology tour. It's basically making fun of YouTubers who I don't know, go to COVID parties and then oh sorry, I didn't have proper judgment. It's like, no, you're just rich and think you're above the rules, scumbag. But anyway, I forgot where I was going. But you could totally have I totally, my train of thought is gone. I'm pretty sure there's no survivors.
that kind of reminds me of a different movie I've seen where they have like humans are basically immortal now, but they have like a band on their wrist which tells them how much time they have left to live, and
the currency.
Yeah, and they trade their time basically as currency. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Time's Up. It's with is that Justin Timberlake and some weird chick with a bad haircut?
Yeah, I think it was with Justin Timberlake. I like the premise. I'm not sure.
Yeah, at first when you said humans are basically immortal now, I thought you were talking about I, Human, which is a Jared Leto movie.
I haven't seen that one yet. I don't think I've seen
very
any
weird.
movie with him.
Can we get a faithful iRobot adaptation?
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I
not the weird Will Smith one. The movie was good, but it wasn't iRobot.
Should point out,
the rules weren't even the same.
I, Human is not at all related to iRobot.
Just like I was not related to iPhones.
Yeah.
Wait, were we talking about I, Human or I, Robot?
I, Human.
I think I'm gonna... Oh, okay.
Technically,
I thought we were talking about I, Robot. I was like, oh.
The Jared Leto thing where he's the final mortal man alive.
Yeah.
What was the point of...
I was kind of confused because I didn't realize... I thought I was like, wait, Jared Leto's an I, Robot?
Yes, you didn't see him. He was an extra.
he was Sonny.
Yeah, he was playing the role.
He was Sonny. That I do have to say, Sonny's probably my favorite character in that movie.
Yeah, Sonny was very nice.
How does...
Yeah, because he's the only one with a personality.
Oof. Are you commenting on the actors?
I would say Smith's character does have a certain level of character.
Yeah, it's the same character that he plays in every single thing.
Yeah, basically. It's true,
I
though.
would disagree with that.
Okay, not the exact same character, but, you know.
Like,
very similar.
He can play different roles, but yeah, he does have, like, a certain niche when it comes to action movies, I guess.
Yeah, I just kind of... I don't know if he's typecast or if he intentionally goes for the same roles.
True. I could be a bit of both, I guess.
I am disappointed by this game's dynamics. Why is that? Why are you not getting hit by the cars right now?
You can actually get the enemies to hit the car. I've had it happen before. It's just it's just the cars are not gonna intentionally run over somebody.
And they just sit there.
Yeah, they just
This
sit there
guy
and
just
they do nothing.
wearing medieval armor.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the outfit that comes with the job.
Oh, okay.
You can basically put it on any job as long as it's the main character. So look, I'll go and show you. I need to change out jobs anyway. That one took so long to do because that dude's resistant to physical attacks. And like a dummy, I made it so every single character only had physical attacks. So I made it really hard on myself for no reason.
I mean, you gotta challenge yourself, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna say
Is it-
excuse me after bumping into that woman? So rude. Chivalry is dead.
I mean,
Oh, hey, there's a
Just fight
safe
them
here.
again on the ground.
chivalry can have many meanings, so...
Wow, the game just called me a hobo. Alright.
So
We
is
need
this
to change
just a-
something.
So are we just doing like a random chat today, or do we have an objective?
It is just a random chat today while
The
video games
objective
play
today
in the
is to have
background.
a random chat.
Yeah, it's basically Bibliorbis the tangent.
Yeah.
What else do we ever do?
Although, I guess technically not tangent, because we don't have a like a proper topic,
Yeah,
so
you
none
can't
of
have a
what we're talking
tangent if
about
you
is a
never had a
tangent.
topic to begin.
Yeah.
The Bibliorbis stream of thought.
I kind of could do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, there's a lot of
I came here to...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because there's like a. I can't unlock any of these.
So is this being recorded?
Yes.
Okay, so
It
let's
is being
talk about
recorded, but it's not going to be uploaded.
Okay. Okay.
We don't
so,
know if the audio is being recorded because
It is.
called.
I checked. I double checked.
Okay, so let's
Did you triple check?
let's talk pros and cons of genocide.
I'm not surprised
Wow.
that you did that. I am surprised it took you so long.
Does that have
Well,
to do
let's
with any of
start
your
with,
recent world building, or just?
I guess you
Quality
could
of-
say. I guess you could say we're trying to figure out if you side with genocide.
Historically, quality of life tends to increase for the rest of the population after a genocide. Because
That's
there
true.
Are,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
there are the
I mean,
same
let's-
resources for fewer people.
Look at the Black Death, because
Yeah.
the wealthy stayed, like, rarely did they die, but the workers often, especially the skilled workers, would often die, therefore increasing real wages for them, because the nobility still have the same amount of work that they want done, and there's fewer workers to go around.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and it was about
doesn't it eventually bounce back
30%
to what it
of the
used to be?
population. It bounces back to higher
Hmm.
because people have more children because they're still having the same number of children as they had during the horrible time during the genocidal period, because they're going, well, I want at least a few of them to survive, and that mindset continues, and so they have as many children as they had before. It takes a few generations for that to slow down again, and so you end up actually increasing the carrying capacity. So the actual theory would be that you cut the population in half, you'll cut the carrying capacity in half, because the gradient will continue at the same rate. However, that's not what happens. You start to cut the population in half and people will start to have more children so that more of them survive. And so you'll actually increase the gradient, and overall you're likely to increase the carrying capacity, which means
So
you'll actually
basically,
decrease the
referring to the
standard of living.
Are you
so
talking about
basically,
carrying
the product
capacity, or-
actually helps the population count.
Well, I'm talking about the point at which the population actually plateaus, which is referred to in biology as carrying capacity.
Yeah, so the purge actually increases the carrying capacity of a society.
Yeah, but it also decreases their standard of living once they reach that carrying capacity.
Yeah.
I always thought of carrying capacity in the sense of this is the maximum that could theoretically be sustained in
Yes,
years.
in biology it is, yeah.
Okay.
In biology it is because for most organisms, when you hit the carrying capacity, there are no other factors. The population just rises in an S curve and you hit the carrying capacity and that's it. In humans, we're special.
Yeah, we
Better or
just
for
break the
worse.
carrying capacity.
Yeah. Our carrying capacity is whatever we decide it's going to be.
I mean, there are some physical limits to it, but
There are physical limits.
We haven't reached them yet.
No.
No, hold on. There are only
trying, though.
limits. There are only
yeah,
limits
that's
if you're not dedicated. There are only limits if you're not dedicated.
Exactly.
And I'm very dedicated. I only have 2 kids, but that's not the end of us.
Yeah. To get back to the genocide, back to the less happy things.
To get back to the genocide, says the German. To get back to the genocide.
Let's get back to the more important topic. Come on, guys. We need to really learn the ethics of killing people off.
Let's get back to that genocide.
So who do we target then?
This just reminds me of a quote from a recent JREG video, which was just like, right-wingers, left-wingers, put aside your differences and start killing each other.
Man.
No, but
amazing
what I just
video.
wanted to say, a lot of people have this misconception that, if there's this kind of purging like we've seen in Avengers Infinity War, I think.
Yeah, Infinity War, and then
Endgame was...
They showed the aftermath in the Endgame,
Yeah.
Endgame, yeah.
That it would increase the standard of living, which it really doesn't, so... Killing people
it's like
in the long run, it does not, no.
Yeah.
In the immediate term, it does. In the long term, it does not.
Well, here's the deal: like if you, it depends on also how quickly it's done. Because if you kill, a quarter of your population over the course of a month, you have people in critical jobs that are no longer there.
Yeah.
And things tend to fall apart.
True.
I remember watching a documentary on an illness in the United States back in like 2010, and basically they said that if a third of the population dies in a wealthy first world country, generally, if a third of the population dies in like 6 weeks, that's enough to get, governmental collapse, because the truck driver that's supposed to bring the food there is no longer there. The guy managing this other thing is no longer there. The chick doing this other thing, being a doctor, whatever, they're not there anymore, and it's not enough time to fill in the gaps.
Power plants
with
shutting
people.
down.
Yeah, that's why with the Black Death, the actual collapse was very slow. As in the collapse in population density and number was quite slow.
Right, and you also had different cases in different places where, like, you have different regions that handled it much better, and other places that got it much worse. You have some places where it come and burn through more than half the population in like a year. You have other places where they suffered from the Black Death for like 5 years, but they didn't kill any more than like 15% of them, depending on their hygiene habits and other things.
Yeah.
Like basically any society that had daily bathing suffered much less from the Black Death, because it is you do get the illness from it getting onto your skin.
And the plague doctors suffered less because they were covered from head to toe.
Yep. Not because they had,
Yeah,
not because they
not
were
at the
constantly.
start, but eventually.
No.
At the start, we didn't really do it that well, but then only the ones that actually knew how to use it properly would survive, basically. Plague doctors at the start were like, being a plague doctor was a really dangerous job at the start because they weren't really that much smarter than the rest of the population.
Well, yeah, but the plague doctors believed that the illness was caused by miasmas.
By the stench, and the stench was a sign of the miasma.
Yeah.
Which is why they would, in that beak thing, they would put like herbs and spices so that way they couldn't smell any of it. But they also believed that, many of them believed that the smell, they were literally smelling the miasma that would give them the illness. So if you covered up with this other smell, you wouldn't be able to.
It was all based on the whole human system, yeah. which was
Well-
a very weird system.
Yeah, well, just the concept of like humors, of 4 humors and how it impacts you is is generally incorrect, but there are some, I don't know how you say, there are some truisms within it, otherwise no one would reinforce it over 4 centuries.
Yeah, they did get some things accidentally right with it, but also the 4 humor system was bad enough that it gave rise to to homeopathy, which at the end of the day was just giving you water because it was better than any other treatment we had at the time.
Yeah,
Right, well, it's like-
homeopathy is putting a small amount of the thing that causes an illness into water and then giving it to someone. That is what
Yeah.
homeopathy is. It's stupidity.
It's stupidity, but it also was, but because they were using so much water, it kind of worked.
Yeah, they dilute it something like 20,000 times, at which point there's not even a single molecule left.
Yeah, because
Right.
the idea is they have a measurement of, I forgot the letter they use for it, but they have a measurement and a number of 1 for that measurement. Like a number of 1 for that measurement is 1 drop of active ingredient in 100 drops of in 900. Speech. So one drop of active material, and then 99 extra drops of water, and then 2 is 1 drop of 1 and 99 of water, and the recommended dose was 30. So by that time you didn't have the active ingredient. Except that sometimes you didn't mix it well, so then you would give people nightshade.
Yay.
Still happens.
It reminds me of the concept of bleeding people. So they'd oftentimes, like back in like Napoleonic era, they have this little box-like device. You stick it on your arm, you press the buttons, and it spring-loads these little blades that cut your skin really shallow to bleed you, because bloodletting's a thing. What's funny is that like I started researching that particular thing, because I'm like, how do people come up with something that doesn't work, but then why is it reinforced in their mind? And I learned that one of the reasons why people thought it worked is because the pain itself brought them to like a greater sense of like awareness. Like, have you ever heard someone say, like, I don't know, like an adrenaline junkie saying, I never felt more alive than when I was doing this other thing. Well, the pain of the bloodletting was enough to wake them up, that made them feel more aware, and it made them feel better. It wasn't the fact that they were bleeding, it was the fact that they were in pain that was waking them up. Like not waking up, they're not asleep, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
you realize that's the same logic as people who have depression and self-harm.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is why people love, like, they cut their arm because they have all this pain on the inside, so they distract themselves by putting pain on the outside, and it snaps them out of their, what's the word I'm looking for? Like their miseration. They're dwelling on their misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, you have something that's not helpful that's being reinforced, because they think, A plus B equals C, and it's like, well, you guys don't even see that D is in there and C doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? You didn't know the D was in the equation, C equals 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they also prescribe it for people who had like a fever or something like that?
Yeah, because it was to get the bad blood out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloodletting was basically the solution to just about anything except for lobotomies.
Lobotomy. I'm gonna have to correct you on that one. Lobotomy was invented prior to World War II. It was invented in the 20th century prior to World War II, and then some idiots decided that they would give it a Nobel Prize for lobotomy. As in, genuinely, lobotomies got a Nobel Prize.
That's
well. We all know that awards are all given honestly and for the best of reasons.
And the award for the Nobel Prize for lobotomy was given, I think, 14 years after lobotomy was invented, and it was given after they already knew the negative side effects and the fact that people could end up in a vegetative state.
I mean, they would shut up.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have their other problems anymore, so success.
Yeah, but now they're basically dead.
Yeah, it's kind of
Well,
logic. Well, if you're dead, you don't
You
have
have
a
to pay
problem.
some things to get some things.
Yeah, but you can't be hysterical if you're brain dead. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, they
lobotomies are
had a
horrible.
very specific
No
problem.
brainer.
They had a very specific problem, and we solved that specific problem. That's a win.
Yeah, but drilling into the brain.
Yeah.
like when America builds new democracies.
Well, you gain
Yeah.
some, you lose some, right?
The terrorists are gone. I mean, so is the city, but the terrorists are gone.
Yeah.
We did it, Patrick. We saved the city.
You destroyed our city, but the terrorists are dead.
All right.
Wait, what? I can buy so much food here.
And you just kind of go, I'm sorry, who were the terrorists here?
Not CIA backs, that's for sure.
Anyone that
Yes,
looks at it's funny.
I'm gonna stop the recording here because I'm gonna leave in a second. I'm probably
What a
gonna.
wuss.
Should I load it, like upload it? I mean, there are some things I would
I mean-
like to.
You can call Bibliorbis after
If
hours.
you'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, everyone knows we're just shooting crap all the whole time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, I want
All right,
to
I'm
get
gonna
run
stop the
over.
recording here then. Bye.